There seems to be an awful lot of sad stories in the news today, and there are thousands missing. Does anybody care? We built a channel where we talk about those faces. Talking news. Cassie Barons has still not been found. It has been 2 years since her case first hit the spotlight. Breaking. Child Daud and Laurie Vallow both behind bars. Sarah Galloway was found. She wasn't found alive. What happened to Sarah Galloway?
It's too heartbreaking to share.
Children are still missing. Children like Dorsey. Nor is she. He just got away with it. Welcome to Talking News. Hello everyone. My name is Debbie. We use big stories to push little faces.
Hello everyone, welcome to Chasing a Murder Talking News. We are doing a Talking News segment. Before we get started, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and hit the notification bell if you'd like notifications whenever we have new uploads. So guys, when you press that subscribe button, it helps this channel out. Don't forget to comment and like as well. So we have some new information on the Laurie Vallow case. And for those of us familiar with this case, we know that Charles Vallow was shot back in July of 2019. So it was July 11th. He was shot by Laurie Vallow's brother, Alex Cox, who is now deceased. He died under very suspicious circumstances back in December. I think it was the 12th of 2019. But the autopsy says that his cause of death was a blood clot in the lungs. There are many victims in this case. 2 children, a man by the name of Brandon Boudreaux, and Chad Daybell's wife, Tammy Daybell. It's been 2 years, and we're starting to finally see charges show up for Laurie Vallow and Chad Daybell. Murder charges, conspiracy to murder, along with a few other charges such as, theft. But we're not here to talk about that today. What we're here to talk about is the fact that those of us that have been following this case have been waiting for charges to come about for the justice of Charles Vallow. So Charles was shot in Gilbert, Arizona. But before he was shot, he started to have some suspicions about the people Laurie Vallow was hanging out with, and it was the people and the creators of Preparing the People, Nancy and James, Melanie Gibb, Chad Daybell, Thor, Little Bear, Jason Mao, even concerns about other family members involved with this group. Laurie's niece, Melanie Boudreaux, at the time. The end of 2018, going into the beginning of 2019, so in January, Charles' concerns really escalate. Charles told Gilbert police on at least 2 different occasions back in January that his wife, Laurie's religious beliefs, that he said that he tried to support her as much as he could, but it had gotten really, really bad lately. He had actually become concerned for the children's welfare and safety as well. Charles said that Laurie's religious beliefs were just getting too dark to handle. It seems since Laurie was hanging out with Melanie Gibb and Chad Daybell on a daily basis, that she was now a translated being. She was going to the temple nearly every single day, and she was speaking with spirits from either the celestial kingdom or from behind the veil in the temple. So she was thinking that she was speaking to higher powers, and these higher powers was waking her up. She couldn't sleep even, and they were giving her advice on what to do every day of her life. So a month or so before Charles is shot, Charles is talking to Laurie Vallow's other brother, Adam Cox. Emails are dated around June 29th, about 12 days before he is shot. In the email he writes to Adam, he says he has concerns about Laurie and this man named Chad Daybell, and he felt that they were up to something. Laurie had created an email under Charles Vallow's alias and was communicating with Chad Daybell, inviting him back to her home. So in this forged email, she writes, "I would gladly fly you down here early next week. You could stay in our guest room like before. I hate to take you away from your family, but I would definitely make it worth your time." Signed with admiration, Charles. Now, there's no doubt after speaking with Melanie Gibb later or hearing her speak in interviews that Laurie was well aware that Chad Daybell was a married man and that he had an entire family, and this might be the reason for her using Charles' name in order to email Chad Daybell. There's no doubt that Charles suspects that possibly Laurie is having an affair, because in this email he writes, "I'm not sure of the relationship with her and Chad Daybell, but they are up to something." Charles Vallow confronts Laurie about this email, but he says that Laurie will not explain what it is and what it means. Charles then says that he's going to try to reach out to Chad Daybell's wife, Tammy, but it's not certain if he ever gains any type of contact with Tammy or not. Before July 11th, Charles has talked to police and told him about his concerns about the safety of his life as well as the children. He has made arrangements to actually show up at the 5500 block of S. Four Peaks Place in Chandler, Arizona to take JJ to school. But things don't go as planned. I will go into deep detail in my series, Life Beyond the Grave. And so there are a few versions of what went down that day when Charles showed up that morning to take JJ to school. But the main thing that seems to be relevant is there was some sort of confrontation. This confrontation led to Charles Vallow being shot by Alex Cox. When this happened, the two children involved with the case were still alive. In fact, they were there the day that Charles was shot. But the question is, did Tylee Ryan and JJ Vallow see Charles, and did they see what happened to him that day? A few people feel that maybe they did see this, especially Tylee Ryan, because Alex Cox calls the police and tells them that he just shot his brother-in-law in self-defense. The police show up, they question Alex Cox, seems not to be so legit. Then Laurie drives up with her daughter Tylee Ryan. Laurie seems to be awfully calm for such a devastating event to have just happened. But Tylee Ryan, you can see that she has her arms crossed. She has no shoes on, and she looks like she had just woken up. She seems to feel very uncomfortable. But at this time, they believe that they, had gotten away with this because Laurie and Alex Cox and the children, they are transported to the police station. They are questioned and then allowed to go back home. There is a pool party. There's a celebration on one of the most horrific days that anyone can experience. Charles Vallow has been pronounced dead. Kay Woodcock and her husband Larry Woodcock, they have heard quite a bit about what's been going on with Laurie and how she had really started acting erratic, mental. They have seen for themselves Charles draw up divorce papers around February of 2019. Then he changes his mind. He gets back with Laurie for a period of time. They live in Texas for a small period of time. Some believe that she done it to manipulate Charles and get information in order to be part of his insurance policy, which was worth $1 million. Charles rented this home that you see in this video for he and Laurie, but things didn't work out. Laurie continued to have this affair with Chad. Charles knew it. He changed the beneficiary from Laurie to Kay Woodcock, his sister. And Laurie tried to get her hands on this money afterwards, only to find out that her allegedly attempts to change the beneficiary to her from Kay Woodcock was unsuccessful. Laurie was mad, and because she was so angry, the Woodcocks feel that this is the reason they were not allowed to have much communication with JJ after Charles' passing. It was 2 years later that we did see some charges come along that were attached to Tylee Ryan, JJ Vallow, and Tammy Daybell. So many people have been awaiting these charges to come along. A lot of people felt as if there was maybe a chance these charges would never happen. While Chad was able to enter a plea of not guilty on all charges, Laurie Vallow was deemed incompetent. She wasn't able to communicate either with her attorney or understand what was going on. We don't have all the details on that as of now. And we know that at this time, Laurie is so we learned later that Mark means Laurie Vallow's attorney, her defense attorney, requested a psychological evaluation for his client back in March of 2021. And this licensed clinical psychologist actually met with Laurie in the Madison County Jail for at least 2 days, according to East Idaho News. At this time, she's having restorative treatment. What we're learning is competency has nothing to do with mental illness. It simply means she's having trouble comprehending or understanding the charges against her. So, is there a chance that she's waking up? Once she understands these charges against her, which is something she definitely needs to understand, that there isn't anybody in a higher power going to support these darker deeds that her and Chad Daybell were pushing. The quicker we can get on with bringing the justice for all of these innocent people involved in this very lunatic way of looking at things. So here's the problem. It's important for her to understand the proceedings against her in order to help herself in her own defense. So what happens is she never is able to be competent. So they will try to bring her competence right. If this happens, then the court proceedings resume as normal. If not, according to East Idaho News, the pause extends another 180 days, and she would continue to receive treatment. If she is deemed not to be competent or likely to ever become competent, then they are committed to the Department of Health and Welfare until they become competent. There is no insanity defense in the state of Idaho, and they say that it is very, very rare for a case to be paused and never resumed because of competency. But they don't understand she is a very rare gem. So this is another rock in the road. According to one Clark, he said that he's only seen something like this happen once in Bonneville County over the past 2 decades. So a good question is, now we have new charges, for the Charles Vallow case. Will this apply to that? And I'm kind of curious to know how Mark Means is addressing his client. And is he doing it in a very loyal or honest way? After seeing tweets that he has tweeted out and some of the actions he makes, I really wonder about this attorney. I think he should have been taken off this case. I think he's made this quite personal, and that's quite evident. He's made some very strange requests. He also seems to think that he's in a civil case. This is not very good for Miss Vallow, and it's not good for him. So I want to do a recap here, guys, because I don't think I did this right. So on June 29th, the Maricopa County Attorney's Office announced Tuesday afternoon that the grand jury indicted Laurie Vallow Daybell on one count of a conspiracy to commit first-degree murder on the death of her former husband, Charles Vallow. And a lot of us who know this case know that Alex Cox is probably who he would be have the full murder charge. But he's no longer here. But what about Chad Daybell? Because it seems like Chad Daybell was the one that instigated all of this. He's the one, according to Melanie Gibb, that told Laurie that Charles was a zombie and that his body was now taken over by a guy by the name of Ned Snyder. And the only way to get rid of this spirit and to release Charles' body is through death. So what's going on? Were they not able to get enough evidence on Chad Daybell? Or, I don't understand this part. How can they not charge Chad with some type of conspiracy anyways? So that's a very interesting subject for me. I'm not a lawyer. So this part is my weakness. And it's going to be interesting to see what investigators were able to dig up in order to bring those charges. Maybe there is a witness we are not aware of. All we know is Charles was hit in the chest twice with a .45 caliber. We know that Charles was a zombie. We know he had $1 million life insurance policy that Laurie was quite interested in. We know that Summer knew that Alex Cox was going to be there that day when Charles arrived to take JJ to school. We also know that Laurie was telling other people that Charles was coming to her home in order to kill her for insurance money. So she has a bunch of inconsistencies to this story on the day that Charles was shot. And I do have concerns about whether or not Mark Means is going to be able to take on all of these charges against Laurie Vallow Daybell. What do you guys think about her defense team? Make sure you comment below. Also, do you believe that Laurie is playing a game of whether or not she is competent and able to understand the charges against her? Can you guess her next step? So this is it's good news for the family, especially the Woodcocks, I think. It must have been incredibly difficult for Kay to sit here these 2 years and wonder if justice was coming, because it really felt at times that there's maybe no hope. What is sad about this case is the fact that Charles had all these warnings. He knew it. He knew something bad was going to happen, but he continued to try to be in her life, just as Joe Ryan, Laurie's third husband. He didn't care how he was in Laurie Vallow's life. He just wanted to be part of it, no matter what. And I can tell you right now that a lot of us are not satisfied with the fact that Joseph Ryan, the investigators basically saying they don't suspect foul play in his death. His sister Annie must have to live with that every single day, thinking, why didn't I see this? I should have known better. But sometimes you just can't. So there's no doubt in my mind that Joseph Ryan, if they can, they need to at least look into the GPS information, especially the phone connected to Alex Cox, Laurie Vallow's brother. So some kind of protecting angel Alex Cox is. And a lot of people are wondering, why would Alex Cox listen to this woman? Why would he do these things? Why would he trust a man like Chad Daybell? It really doesn't make sense to a lot of us, and you have to wonder, how were these people able to convince so many people? Well, I've got some of that information coming up in a series. It's just, I have more details than anybody I know. it takes me a long time to get there. And as we get deeper into it, the more details are going to show up. So make sure you check out Life Beyond the Grave. Start with part 1, work your way up. I think we have up to part 16 loaded right now. I want to mention to you to please don't forget about these girls that we have been covering for 2 years now, like Jasmine Robinson, Kiera Coles, and Dulce. Now, I do have a new story I'm working on, but the Laurie Vallow case has always got something breaking, so it's so hard for me to get caught up. In a year, I haven't been able to catch up for several reasons. I want to give a big shout out to all those that have supported me on Patreon. Guys, I seen that because I haven't been looking. I was sick. And I was so excited to see that somebody appreciated the hard work that I put into this channel. And then I see all the comments and the likes. I'm so appreciative. It's been tough trying to get to 17,000 subscribers, y'all. We're doing it. It's been a slow year for me, and I hope to get back on track. I have been working behind the scenes. It's just what I'm doing, it does require so much work, I can't even tell you. So big hugs going out to all of you. Thank you so much, guys. And don't forget, share a video. If you can't afford to help the channel like through Patreon, you can share a video on a group page. I miss you guys so much, and I'm glad to be getting back. I'm feeling a little bit better, and I love you guys. And I'll see you guys soon with